Hi, dear students. Once again, I am welcoming you. This is our Part 3 lecture on the textual analysis of Book 1, Iliad by Homer. And at that point, we will begin from where we stopped in our Part 2 lecture. We stopped at a particular point when Agamemnon replied to the answer of Nestor, and he was in a mood to indicating that man, that Achilles, and started pinching him with his words to Achilles. And at that particular point, Achilles spoke to him that he will not do anything further, and at the same time he talked that Agamemnon will not also speak against him anymore too, as this is the time he will separate himself from the Achaean army. And at the same time he is also talking to that if Agamemnon try to do or try to take anything from Achilles after it, that means that deed, that means taking away the girl from him, and if Agamemnon dared to do anything expected from that thing, that means that last thing, that is taking the girl away, at that point he said that my spear will quickly drip with your dark blood. If he tried to do anything, then his spear, his sword will not leave him. So at that point we stopped in our previous lecture. So let's begin today's lecture. Thus the pair of them continued arguing. So that's how the pair, that means both Agamemnon and Achilles were continued arguing. Then they stood up. Then both of them stood up, dissolving, that means ending the assembly by the ships which was going on the ships. Peleus' son, that means Achilles, went back to his well-balanced ships and hearts. So that man, that Achilles, is now returning to his own ships, and especially his own hearts. Hearts is a kind of a single storied room, and that is not a kind of a very well built, very wealthy one. So at the same time, by using the word hearts, it suggests that the ships of Achilles is not very big. It is like that of a normal one. Even at the same time, it is also suggesting that the mental condition of Achilles too, that's he himself is comparing to that of that kind of hearts. And he went to his own ships with one person, and that is his friend Patroclus. Who is Patroclus? Patroclus is Menoetius' son. Okay, and Patroclus is constant companion, and even he was brother in arms to him. And Patroclus is known for his compassion and good sense. In his childhood, his father Menoetius gave him to Peleus to rear up. When in the Trojan War we find that the Trojans begin to attack the Achaean ships that we will find in the story, Patroclus put on Achilles' armor and fights the Trojans in Achilles' place. He kills many of them, but is ultimately killed by Hector. Next, Agamemnon dragged a swift ship down the shore. Now Agamemnon brought a swift ship, that means a ship which has a very good speed, and it is very much well balanced ship, and he brought it to the shore. chose 20 sailors, and after bringing that ship, he have chosen 20 skillful sailors, and after that he loaded on the oxen offering for God. After that he loaded some animals, some beast, and for what reason he was loading these beasts to offering for the god, to god Apollo. And at the same time he also led on fair-cheeked Chrysis, the daughter of Christ, on that ship too. And shrewd Odysseus, shrewd that means a clever, a very intelligent, and that person, that warrior is Odysseus, shipped on as leader. He was selected as the leader of that ship. Odysseus, in Roman history is known as Ulysses. All aboard this setup. So they are now going to that place, and they are starting their journey, carving a pathway through the ship. So they were now going to the particular place, and they are now doing their path, that means crossing their pathway through that sea. So their journey will be through the sea. Atreus' son ordered troops to cleanse themselves, and Atreus' son, that means Agamemnon, ordered troops, his warriors, to cleanse, to purify themselves. Okay, the men bathed in the sea. So to purify, they took bath on the sea and washed up, and by doing this they also cleaned the impurities. Okay, their sins, their unhealthy kind of things were now pure. They then made sacrificial offerings to Apollo, and after that they did the sacrificial offerings to Apollo by doing the burning of hundreds of perfect bulls and goats. So you need to understand that. So there will be two sacrificial offering, one in that place, that means in Athens, and one will be on that temple that is in Christ. Okay, so they did it beside the restless sea, and here the sea beside which they were now situating is called restless, and that's suggesting that the mind of the Agamemnon, which is restless too. Savory smells curled up the smoke high into heaven. Here the smell which was emitting from that burning, it's called savory smells. Savory is a kind of category of a food that is very much salty or spicy rather than sweet. So the smell has been compared like that, and that curled up, that was going up with the structure of curling, and that smoke which was going up and up, and it now going to that heaven. So that's how it's suggesting that the smoke was for the god. So the smoke has found his pathway to heaven, and it was going to that part. Next slide. The men thus occupied. So that's how the men, that means the 20 troops, the 20 soldiers occupied. Okay, Agamemnon did not forget the challenge. So it was a first thing that Agamemnon should do. So he completed it, and after that Agamemnon did not forget the challenge which he had made earlier to Achilles. That means he will take the girl, the captive girl of Achilles by force. So that's why he called his heralds So he called his two messengers. And who are they? The first one is Talthybius and Euripides. Just remember their names, Talthybius and Euripides. So those were the men, or you can say heralds or messengers, who will be sent to Achilles to bring the girl. So then Agamemnon speaks, "Go to Achilles' tent." So I am ordering you, both Talthybius and Euripides, go to Achilles' tent. And Achilles' tent. Okay, once again the word tent suggesting the poor condition of Achilles' ship. And he is the Phylaus' son. Take and bring fair complexed Brises, and from there you have to bring Brises by your hand, and bring her to me, bring that girl Brises to me. If he won't surrender her, and just remember it, if Achilles did not agree with you to give her with you, then I will come myself in force and take her. I will go there and bring the girl with me. And just told him that for him that will be a disaster. That means if I have to go there, then I will not leave him unhurt. I will give him a quite heavy blow. So it will be a very disaster for him. So just tell him, just try to listen what I actually said, and how can I be if the girl is not sent with you. Okay, just recall him about my bad habits. So with these firm orders, he dismissed the men. That means he dismissed Talthybius and Euripides, who moved up, and they were moving with a very heavy hearted. So this suggests that the two heralds were not also eager to go to Agamemnon, because they knew really well that Agamemnon is very bad and Achilles is true to everybody. So they were now also in sadness. Along the shore of the restless sea, they were now going to Achilles. They reached the hearts. So they reached that particular point, that ships, and the ships of the Myrmidons. Okay, so Achilles' ships are called the ships of Myrmidons. You know, all of the Achaeans have their particular naming of the ships, and all this naming you will come across in book number 2. So here, just remember it, the ships of Achilles are called the ships of the Myrmidons. There they found Achilles seated by his heart and his black sheep. So they found that Achilles sat at the particular point, and that was beside his heart, that was over the ships, and the ship was black. So this suggests that Achilles' mental condition. As he saw them approach, when Achilles saw them they are coming, that means both Talthybius and Euripides, Achilles felt no joy. So whenever any herald came to Achilles, it was a moment of joy, because it may suggest that it's a time of battle and they are in need. So they need that great man, that Achilles, for the fight. But this time he understood really well why they have come to him. So that's why Achilles felt no joy. The two heralds are afraid. So their mental condition is not also very much confident. They are also afraid. Just stood in silence. So after reaching there, they have not spoken anything. They just merely stood still, and there remained a prolonged silence out of deference to the king. So they are there not because of their own will, that because of the allowance, the submission of someone, that is the King Agamemnon. In his heart, Achilles sensed their purpose. So Achilles have already understood why they have come to him. So he called them. Cheer up, heralds, messengers for gods and men. Oh, okay, welcome, heralds, messengers. So he is addressing both the men. And you are the messenger of gods. That mean gods mean here gods mean here King Agamemnon has been compared with gods. So it's a kind of a negative comparison. Okay, not in a sense because he is a mortal being, and at the same time it is suggested that they may be the messengers or heralds of God. Okay, and men, and here men mean he, that mean both of them may also refer that they were also the messengers of king too. So double meaning is there. Come here. So he welcomed them, that come here. I don't blame you. So I am not condemning you because I have no kind of rivalry with you, but I have the rivalry with that man, that Agamemnon. He sends you, and you have not the desire to come here. That man sends you both here for the girl Briseis. Okay, come, Patroclus, born from Zeus, face the girl. So then after that he spoke to his dear friend Patroclus to bring the girl to them. So it's a kind of a very peaceful and very what can I say, sacrificial thing which was done by Achilles. And he said to Patroclus that give her to these to take away. So give the girl to these two men to take away. Let them both witness, and at the same time by taking the girl they will witness how rough I can be, and at the same time how peaceful and how passive I may be. They will understand that. Let them witness before blessed gods. He is also at the same time saying that I am giving that girl to these men, and I believe that gods are seeing me and seeing this incident. Mortal men, and as those two men, that mean both Euripides and Talthybius are mortal men, they also witnessed it, we also witnessed it, and that unfeeling king, and that unfeeling king here is Agamemnon, and Agamemnon will also understand that how I am actually. If ever there is a need for me again to defend others from a shameful death, and they will not understand till that time when there will be a deadly battle, and in that battle everyone will be dying because of no great warrior. Because in that Achaean army I was the one to defend our Achaeans, but after that the deed which he is doing actually at that particular time by taking the girl with force, it is the shameful thing for him. So he said, if ever there is need for me again to defend others from a shameful death, that particular point he will understand my importance. That man's wits are foolish. Here, that man's mean that Agamemnon's wits. Here, wits mean that is mental sharpness, or you can say the keen intelligence about the sensing of future, and he said that that man's wits are foolish, even disastrously so. It is fatally, it is perniciously so. He is not thinking about past or future. So he said that Agamemnon forgot that how I helped Aegean in past and how I will be helpful to them in future. So that thing has been forgotten by Agamemnon. How Aegeans may fight safely by their ships. So he is also predicting that when the impediment disaster will come, how the Aegeans stand against the opposite party. After that, Patroclus did as his dear comrade had requested. So Patroclus did what his friend, friend suggested and had requested. He brings out the fair-cheeked Briseis from the hut, and gave her up to be laid up, and he leaded that girl to the heralds, to these men. The heralds went back, returning to Aegean ship. So after getting the actual motto, that means their motto of coming there to get the girl, so they are now went back to the Aegeans, or rather to Agamemnon, and along with them they took the precious thing, that is Briseis, with them. But just take the notice of that line, but against her will. This suggests that Briseis, who was the captivated girl of Achilles, has also prepared a kind of bond with Achilles. So that by that forcing, she is now going to be the part of Agamemnon. So it is not a expected thing for her. She was happy with Achilles, so that's why she is going there. She was taken there against her will. Achilles then in tears. Now Achilles' condition is very much poor, so his eyes are now filling with tears, withdrew from his companions, and in his sadness, in his sorrow, he separated himself from his companions and went to the particular place that is beside the seashore, staring at the wide grey sea, and his eyes are now filling with more water, that is on tears, and at the same time he was rushing the diverse sea and thinking of his grief that is unbounding like that wide sea. And the grey also suggests that this is not a mere grief, it is a kind of a very harsh kind of grief. Stretching out his hands, and after that he stretched out his hands, he cried aloud, and he started crying, and that was it very loudly, and he praying repeatedly to Thetis, and that crying, and at that crying he was calling a particular person, and that is Thetis. And you know, Thetis was his beloved mother, and he asked his mother, "Mother, since you gave me life, mother, from that time that you have given me life, if only for a while." And this also suggests the sense of his life, that means Achilles knew really well about his life. His life is cut short, that means he will not live a long life. It is destined to him, and he knew it perfectly. Okay, so just remember it, if only for a while. How can a man understand his ending of life? So he had some kind of a divine power, that's why he can understand it. And then he addressed the Olympian Zeus, high thunderer who has the great power. He said he should give me due honor. If I was born in this earth as a warrior, I should have given the honor to live, but I have not. But he does not grant me even slight respect. That when Zeus has not granted me that slight respect, and that's why Agamemnon gave him that harsh blow. For right ruling Agamemnon, Atreus' son, had ashamed me, because if he had the honor, he had the actual respect which should be given by Zeus, then Agamemnon could not able, or he have not sought any kind of dare to ashamed him. Has taken away my pride, and he ashamed me by taking away my pride, the pride which was given to me by all the Athenians by seeing my skill, and that pride appropriated it for his own house that was possessed by me, and it is a kind of my possession and my wealth, so that was taken from him. For me, it is a kind of a offense to me. Just listen, mother. As he said this, he wept. So when he was saying all this and requesting his mother, his eyes were once again filling with drops of tears. His noble mother held him from deep within the sea, and his mother, that is Thetis, could not kept herself without listening it. So he heard it very clearly that her son is crying, where she sat by her old father, and under the sea water Thetis was sitting there, and she was sitting with her husband Pelos. Okay, so he said where she sat by her old father. Quickly she rose up. By listening the cry of her dearest son, she could not keep herself there. She rose up from there, moving above grey waters, and he came up over the grey waters like an ocean mist, like the mist, a cloud of teeny water. She came rushing and settled down before him, and she stood before Achilles. As she wept, she stroked him, and she smoothly put her hand on her fair, on her very eligible son, and patted him, and then said, "My child, why these tears? My child, why are you crying? What sorrows weigh down your heart? That means, what kind of sorrow that make your body trapping down? Please tell me, why are you feeling such agony, such pain? Tell me so well, so we will both know. Tell me, and I know your pain. After talking to me, your pain will be dispersed, will be shared by both of us. So don't hide from me what's on your mind. So please don't hide, my boy, my child, your pain. Just tell me." With a deep groan, and after that, with a deep pain, swift-footed Achilles replied to his mother, "You know, actually Thetis is a sea nymph, and it is believed by Achilles that it is very much understandable for him. And being a god, she should not be told anything. She can perceive anything. Why should I tell you what you know? Why should I tell you, actually, which has already known by you?" Then he started talking the whole incident. "We came to Thebes that means Athens' sacred city. Actually, after reaching to that particular point before the wall of Troy, they perceived really well that it is impossible to attack the country, that is Troy. So at first they did one thing: they attacked Thebes, and Athens was the king. Athens was the king of that particular city, Thebes, and Athens would find a suitable match for his daughter, and his daughter's name was Andromache. So Athens found a suitable match for his daughter in the form of Hector. And Hector? He was the son of Priam of Troy. So this marriage would mean Athens was allied with Troy. And during the Trojan War, Cilician Thebes, that particular city, would become a target for Athenian forces. And Achilles, with his people, attacked and captivated by killing Athenians and captivating all women along with precious wealth. So they sacked it, they captivated it, taking everything the city had. And Athenian sons appropriated it fairly, and they distributed the gifts fairly. That went to everybody with similar kind of gifts among themselves. Agamemnon's years was fair-skinned crisis, and mother, Agamemnon has kept with himself that fair-skinned crisis, and she was the daughter of Christ. And after that, Christ, the father of Chryses, arrived at the swift ships of bronze-armed Athenians. So Christ came to request all the Athenians to get his daughter free from that clutches of captivity. At that point, archer god Apollo's priest sought out his daughter, which I have talked. He brought with him an enormous ransom. So he came to us not empty-handed. He brought with him enormous ransom, enormous compensation, carried in his hand sacred golden staff and the shawl of archer god. So these things, the sacred things, were brought by him as a compensation. He begged Athenians, and after reaching there, he begged all the Athenians. Above all, Atreus' two sons, that mean to Agamemnon and Menelaus, and who is called the people's leaders. All Athenians, all the people of Athens, called on them to respect the priest. So we all in a mood to say that accept these gifts and respect the priest, and accept this splendid ransom. But that did not please Agamemnon in his heart. But that meant that Agamemnon find anything pleasing in that. He sent him roughly, and he sent that person that cries very harshly with harsh abusive orders. You have understood what actually is saying. The order was like that: I want to see you never ever sneaking beside the ships. Just go away, or I will be very much absolute to threaten, or maybe I will kill you. That was a kind of threatening to Christ by that man, that Agamemnon. The old man went away again, and as a result he returned back, and he returned enraged with anger and in grief at the same time, and he prayed to Apollo, who loved him well. And as Christ was the worshipper of Apollo, so he at once accepted his praying. The god heard him and sent his deadly arrows, and after listening that, his own estimate is also wounded, because Agamemnon did not accept the ransom which was specially of that god Apollo. So he also disrespected the god. So he shoot his deadly, that means his malicious arrows against the Argives, against the Athenians. And as a result, the troops kept dying, the troops were dying, the soldiers were dying one after one by one, as the god rained arrows down throughout the wide Athenian army. So as the god Apollo was raining the arrows, and that arrows having the deadly disease like that of plague, all the people of Athenian army were dying. At that particular point, the prophet Calchas, understanding all, told us Apollo's will, told us what to do for Apollo, and why Apollo was enriched with us. At once I was the first to recommend we all appease the god, and at that point nobody was to speak. I spoke in favor of our Athenians, so that we said that we should appease the god, so that we can make ourselves free from that debt. But anger got control of Agamemnon. But that portion, that Agamemnon was not in favor of us. He was rather in his mood of anger, and he was become more angry. He was becoming more angry. He stood up on the spot and made the threat, where he just carried out. And at that particular point, when everybody spoke that the main reason of this, that means this god's anger, was that girl, that crisis. So they requested Agamemnon to return the gift, but Agamemnon demanded that he will take the similar kind of gifts from the Athenians army, and specially he threatened me to take away my gift, and he was just doing the same thing. So quick-eyed Athenians are sending Chryses in fast ships back to Chryse, so to appease the god, and so please the priest. So they are now sending back the girl Chryses to that place, the place of Chryse where Chryses live. Simultaneously, they also transporting gifts for Lord Apollo. They also loaded gifts for Apollo. And after that, mother, are you listening me? Listen, the heralds came to take away prizes from my house. I thought Agamemnon could mend his behavior, but that not happened. He rather sent his two heralds to take away the girl which was given to me, the girl who is my gift from Athenian sons. So now, mother, if you can, protect your son. Your son is in tremendous pain. He is in great danger, and he has nothing to do. He has suffered so much pain, and at that particular point, you can save your son. And then he suggests his mother that go to Mount Olympus, implore Zeus, request Zeus, if ever you in word or deed have pleased him, if you ever supported him, if you ever helped him, then you need to ask Zeus to repay your help. For often, actually, Achilles then discussed why his mother can do this. Actually, in past, he listened that you boast, that when Thetis boasted or took pride in her husband's house, that you alone of all the deathless gods saved Zeus, the dark clouds from disgraceful rain. Actually, previously, when among all the titans all were against Zeus, all were conspiring against him, and they were conspiring to captive the god god of king of all gods and goddesses, Zeus, that Thetis saved him. When other Olympians came to tie him up, Hera was one of them. Pallas, Athena, Poseidon, all were there to captive Zeus. You stood there and you saved Zeus from this great time. But you, goddess, came and set him free, and you saved him by quickly calling up, and for that you called up to high Olympus that 100-handed monster gods called Breweries, and for that you called that monster gods, and the name of the god was Breweries. Breweries was the gods who was actually called by Thetis here. He is a mortals, and he was called by mortals as Asian, and he was called by the gods as Breweries. And he, that when Breweries, along with Hesiod and his brother, successfully helped Zeus against the attack of all the Titans. And that Breweries was also the son of Uranus, or you can say heaven. So he said that Breweries and men all name Asian. So as I said, Breweries is the naming that was taken by the gods, and men call him as Asian, a creature that means that 100-handed monster whom you told and whom you requested to reach there to that particular place Olympus to save the Zeus, whose strength was greater than his father's. And it is known to all that Briareus' power was more than his father, that is Uranus. Uranus, his father, was his father. He sat down beside the son of Cronos, and that 100-handed monster Briareus reached the Olympus and he sat beside the son of Cronos. And son of Cronos were sons of Cronos rather were Demeter, Hera, Hades, Poseidon, and Zeus. So he stood, or he rather sat beside the son of Cronos and exulting in his glory. And by sitting there, all other sons of Cronos fled away. That means they became very much afraid seeing him. The sacred gods afraid stopped tying up Zeus. Seeing him, all the gods and goddesses fled away. So sit down right by Zeus. So as you have did this great favor to Zeus, so please go there and sit down right by Zeus, and sit down there beside Zeus, clasp his knees, and for that do one thing, if necessary, grasp tightly his knee, and rather embracing him with your careness, and remind him and just recall him all that you did. So he will want to help the Trojans somehow, and my wish is that to help the Trojans, our opponent party, and corner Achaeans by the sea by their ships' prows, and attack our ships, the Achaean ships, by the ships' prows. Prows is the kind of a thing that is the portion of a ship's bow which was above water, and have them destroyed. And by helping the Trojans, by giving the power to the Trojans, they will be so much powerful that the Achaeans may get the harsh reality of declining me by that Agamemnon, and my owner has been snatching away, and as a result they will go through a harsh time in which they will feel my need. So they all enjoy their king, and at that particular point they will understand the need of me, and they will point their fingers to that Agamemnon, because of that man's deed Achilles is not there, so they will all understand and they will enjoy their king, the son of the Atreus, wide ruling Agamemnon, and himself may see his foolishness. And at that point, Agamemnon will understand how his foolishness caused such thing. By dishonoring Achilles, the best of the Achaeans, because he dishonored the best warriors among the Achaeans. So he need to understand this, and for that I need one thing, that is the support of Zeus, so that he can help the Trojans. And that's how my wish that is to help Achaeans and destroy the Achaeans, help the Troys and destroy the Achaeans. So that my wish is not complete destruction of Achaeans, rather my wish that a kind of harsh blow. And so for that I wish you can help me, oh mother, you can help me. So Thetis shedding tears. So Thetis listening this, her heart was in completely depressed mood. She sheds her tears rather, and answered her son Achilles, "Oh my child, why did I rear you?" And at that particular point, Thetis is feeling so much purgated that he said, "Why I have reared you? Why I give you such a worse life? Since I brought you up to so much pain, I have brought you to see that you are in so much pain. No, dear, I have not thought of it. Would you err safely by your ships dry-eyed? Is that the reality that I want you to see with your dry heart and sitting beside the ships? On the other hand, all the Achaeans are exulting in glory and joy? No, dear, no. Your life is fated to be short. I know your life is fated to be short. Actually, Achilles' life is thought to be short, which I have already discussed. Actually, there is a story. Once, in that that Olympus, the poor thinker named Prometheus, he prophesied that Nereid, Thetis' son, will be the greater than his father. That means his son will be more powerful than his father. So among the gods, the sea god Nereid was his father. So Poseidon and Zeus was very much in trouble, that who will be the son, and if he will be the son of any god or goddesses, then he will be more powerful, then he will be a threat for us. So they forced Thetis to marry a mortal, a human being. As a result, his son, or that means her son, will not be so powerful. So it's a kind of a tragedy for Achilles. So that's why Thetis is also accepting it, and she said that your life is fated to be short and you will not live long. Now, faced with a quick doom, you are in distress, and now I am seeing this, that your fate is now very near and you are in distress. So it's a kind of a very painful thing to me, more so than any other man, and I believe your fate is far more than the other men. At home I gave you life marked by an evil fate. At home I gave you, that when Thetis gave Achilles, life marked by an evil fate. Why evil fate? You know, Achilles' whole body is immortal, and that except his hell. So while dipping down in the sea of Styx, he missed that point. So that weakness may be understood, or will be understood by the others, and they will attack there. So that's why I give you the life which is marked with evil fate. But I will tell these things to thunder-loving Zeus. But dear son, don't be so disappointed. I will tell this what you have told me now to that thunder-loving Zeus, that means to the king of all gods and goddesses. I will go myself to snow-topped Mount Olympian, and I will go there to the Olympian, Mount Olympian, and the description is like that, snow-topped. It is said that Mount Olympus is at the very highest position. So here snow is seemed everywhere. To see if he will undertake all this, and I will try my best so that I can allow you for having the responsibility to doing all this. Meanwhile, you should sit by your swift ships, and at the same time I am telling you that you do not go anywhere. You just sit by your swift ships, angry at Athens, and your anger is justified, and so that's why you will keep your angry mood with against the Athenians. Take no part in war. It is my order, you can say my suggestion, that don't take part in the war. For yesterday, Zeus went to Oceanus, and at the same time, Thetis said that Zeus is not in his kingdom, that is in Olympus. Yesterday, Zeus went to a particular place named Oceanus. Just remember the place, to attend a banquet, a party with the worthy Ethiopians, and he went there to attend these Ethiopians. The gods all journeyed with him, so all other gods of the Olympus also accompanied him to that Ethiopians. In 12 days, when he returns and comes home to Olympus, I will go to Zeus's bronze float house. So after the 12 days, Zeus will come to his Olympia, and at that time I will go there and I will request by myself. Clasp his knees, I will tightly grasp his knees, and I think I will get him to consent, and I believe that I will get his consent. So don't worry about it. Just remember for how many days Jews and other gods went to Ethiopians. It will be 13 days. 12 days, it says that 12 days more, that when they went yesterday, that suggests that one day earlier. So that's why it will be 13 days to Ethiopians. Next. Thetis spoke, then she went away. So after speaking, Thetis went away, leaving Achilles there, and Achilles was staying there, angry at heart. His heart is very much angry for lovely girdle Brises, because his heart is angry because he was in deeply love with Brises, and at the same time, Brises is a thing of ideal beauty, so that position is lost. So that's why he is feeling the anger, and that because his position is taken away from him by force against his will. So that's why this mental condition is very much paining him. After that, the incident shifted from Achilles to the incident of Odysseus' journey. Odysseus sailed to Greece. So Odysseus reached Greece, and bringing with him the sacrificial animals. So he brought with him all these sacrificial animals as sacred offerings. So they were brought here as a sacrificial offerings to god Apollo. When they had sailed into deep anchorage, when they reached at a particular point where a deep anchorage, that means an area that is very much suitable for a ship to anchor, they took in the sails, they folded the sails and stowed mean lay aside or loaded or stored these sails in the ships. So they kept the sails very carefully. With foresight and with their busy steps, they soon set the mast. They bring down the mast. Mast are tall, upright kind of stuff, and it's a kind of structure which is on the ship for hanging the sails. So they set down and in its notch and put it at that particular point, the narrow mark where that was in the mast. Then rowed the ship into its mooring place, and after that they took the ship by the help of oars. Okay, carried the ship with the oaring. They are now not in support with that sail. Okay, they threw out anchor stones, and after that they threw out the anchor to tie it there, and they lashed stern cable, and they tied the ship with the stern ropes. Okay, and clambered out into the surf, and after that they climbing down, okay, with difficulty into the ocean surf, and they climbed down on the particular shore. There was line of foam, and that was on the sea beach, because it was made by breaking of waves by hitting the seashore. So they reached over that ocean surf, that means foam of sea water. They brought up the offerings to archer god Apollo. So they brought all the things to the temple. Then Chryses disembarked. Then Chryses also landed from the ship. Resourceful Odysseus led her to the altar, and that man, that great warrior Odysseus, led her to the altar of Chryse, and placed her to her beloved father's hands, and give her to her father's hand, and then said, Chryses, I have been sent by Agamemnon. Chryses, I am here because I have been sent by Agamemnon, and he is the ruler of men, to bring your daughter to you, to return back your daughter. And then on behalf of all the Danaans, and I am here also from all the Danaans, to make an offering to Lord Apollo, so that we can make an offering to Lord Apollo. And this offering will be by the sacrificing all these beastly things, to placate the god, to pacify the god, to soothe the god, who now inflicts, because that god was striking us, inflicting us such dismal evil on us, such gloomy, such a dark evil, that is the disease of plague upon us. As a result, all the Athenians were dying. After saying this, he handed the girl over. That means Odysseus handed the girl to Chryses. Chryses gave his daughter a joyful welcome back. So, with a big smile, with a great delight, he welcomed his daughter back. And then around the well-built altar, they arranged a splendid sacrifice. And at that particular altar, they are now arranging a great sacrificial for Lord Apollo. They washed their hands, they cleaned their hands, and picked up the barley grain for sprinkling. So they took in their hand the particular kind of grain. It's named barley grain. You know, barley is a kind of a grain which is brewing and stock feed for the chanters. They used it. Raising his arms, Chryses prayed out loud on their behalf, and for the well-being of the Athenians. Now Chryses took in his hand few barley grains and then prayed. Hear me, god of the silver bow, protector of Chryses. Then he addressed god Apollo and said, hear me, god, the silver bow. You have the possessor of silver bow. You know, the bow of Apollo is in silver metal. You are the protector of Chryses, and you are the mighty lord of holy Scylla, and also the sacred Tenots. You heard me earlier when I called you. You heard my prayer, just as you honored me, striking hard against Athenians then, and as I wished to attack, to give the lesson of all the Athenians, you did. So now grant me what I pray for, and now I am praying for thing, and I wish you will fulfill my wish. And my wish is that remove disaster, this wretched evil from Asians for the dead ends. So remove this deadly disease, that plague from that person, from that Asians. So Crisis spoke. So Crisis requested or worshipped, and Phoebus Apollo heard him, and Phoebus Apollo listened to him. Once they had prayed, when their praying is over, and scattered barley grain, they pulled back the heads of sacrificial beasts, and after that they are now pulling the sacrificial beast. Slit their throats. Slit means cutting something, cutting the animals with long or deeper. They are cutting the throats of the animals deeper. After that, they plate them. Plate means peeling the skin of the animals. Just to keep in your mind the words. Okay. Slice the thighs bones out, and after that they sliced the bones of the animals and hid them and keep them aside in twin layers of fat with raw meat on top. So thus they cut the beast in such manner. Old Crisis burned them on split wood. Old Crisis took them on a split wood. Split means such kind of thing like that of a thin metal rod or pushed through, which is actually pushed through the meat in order to take hold of it, and then poured wine on them and poured wine over them. Young men beside him held out 5 prolonged forks. So they are holding a kind of a spoon, which is kind of called fork, and having 5 prolonged or sharp edge. Once the thighs were well burnt, when the thighs of the animals were well burnt, they sampled entrails. So they took sample, okay, and the sampling of such kind of entrails, the internal organs like that of artery, or you can say in our body some feeding channel. So they just sampled up, then sliced up all the rest, and then cut the animals' remained body and skewed the meat on spits, and after that with the help of a long wooden metal to hold the foods, the spits, they peered the metal so that they can hold it, and they can put the meat on the fire, and by doing this they roasted the meats carefully and drew up every piece, and they put them down after the actual burning of that place of the animal. That were complete. That when all the work of that cutting and burning was complete, then they prepared a meal and ate, and then they prepared a kind of a meal for eating. No heart was left unsatisfied. That when all the warriors as well as all the people present there, they were very much appeased with the food they had. They feasted equally. They ate with heart's content. And when the men had their fill of food and drink, and when their eating and drinking was over, young boys filled the mixing bowl. Some young boys of that warrior, that troops, that was 20. Among them, some mix put some filled the wine up to the brim, and they filled the bowl with complete wine, and served it to God, and poured into it libations into every cup. And in every cup they put libation, a drink which is poured out as an offering to the deity. Then all day long young Athenians played music, and all Athenians boys, lads played music. That when they entertain they enjoy the scene really well, and singing to the god a lovely human of praise, and they were praising God with singing, honoring in dance, and honoring Him with dance, song, and God shoot from afar, so that God can shoot His arrow with joy, not bringing anything disaster. And hearing them, Apollo felt joy fill his heart. At sunset, as dusk come on, by the ship's turn, they went asleep, should they fall asleep. After that, but when early born, when the morning came, rose finger down, dawn appeared, they set off. They started their journey to return back to Aegean. Once more back to the wide Aegean camp. They are returning back to their own camp. And far-shooting Apollo sent them favorable winds to return back easily. They raised the mast and then sails. They raised the mast of the ship and the sails so that they can reach their place very timely. The wind blew, filling out the body of the sail, and the wind blew really well, and the ship gets the actual air for the sailing. On both sides of the prow, the purple waves hissed loudly as the ship sped on its way. The ship was very much in running speed as the necessary winds was there, and that was given by God Apollo. Its motion carving a path through the ocean swell, and they were moving through the ocean, and it was a kind of a very joyous journey, and the sea in rolling waves that do not break, and the halting of the ships was not happen. The ship was going very smoothly, and when they reached the broad Aegean army, they hauled the black ship high up on the sand. They took the ship, they lifted the ship and make an abrupt change course by taking the ship to the shore. Pushed long props tight beneath it. They took all the props. Props mean some kind of things which is used in the ship. They took all it with them. Then dispersed. Then go to their own particular place, and each man returning to his own hearts and ships. So all these are the mere description. Just don't think it very highly. Just take notice of all this. After that, meanwhile, the particular moment, Achilles, divinely born son of Peleus, sat down in anger alongside his swift ships. At the same time, when all men were exulting in glory and joy, Achilles sat beside his ship, and he is in depression. Not once did he attend assembly where men win glory to go out fight. So this is the first time where Achilles was not there. This is the first time all the Athenians were celebrating the glory that without Achilles. But he pined away at heart. But he, in his angerness, in his heart, remaining idle, he remained in that beside the ship, lethargically, pointlessly, and yearning, and he is now seeking a feeling of intense longing for something, and that is for hearing the hue and cry and clash of battle. He is waiting for that point, for that time when all the Athenians will feel the high blow from the Trojans, and he is waiting for it. So here I will stop, and this is the part 3, and I believe in our last lecture, in our part 4, we will complete the book 1. So have a great day, and also take care of yourself. Thank you.